Well, I'm back here today looking at more TWS earbuds, and I've got a pair that was sent out to me from a company called Jabees. These are the Firefly.2s, recently released. They offer 10 hours of playback time. It's TWS tech, of course, Bluetooth 5, and the case does offer an additional 20 hours, which is 2 more charges. It also does have wireless charging support, and these are IPX7 rated TWS earbuds as well, with a physical click in button and capacitive touch. So it's like a hybrid touch system, control system that we don't often see. So let's check them out. So apart from the earbuds themselves and their case in the box, we also have a quick reference guide which does go over every single thing you do need to know about these particular earbuds. It even talks about the status LED so you can know what percentage means what. All the controls all in there. Type-C to USB cable for charging it, of course. Now, they do include some spare air tips, so the mediums for me do work, give me a good seal, but if they didn't, you've got large and small ones here as well that you can try. It's very important to get a good seal. And lastly, we've got this right here. So there's a tether. So if you were going to be going, for example, I don't know, jumping around lots with them, you can put the tether on and this around your neck, so you know that you're not going to actually lose one of them. But I haven't had any issues with them falling out even when running around. So the case here for the Firefly 2s, it does weigh 58 grams, which is not a bad weight. And I'll show you the size of it compared to my Jabra 75T Elites. You can see that the Jabras are slightly shorter and not quite as wide. So it's a little bit wider here. But this case does support wireless charging. So the battery within will give us an additional 20 hours, which is 2 charges. And if you're going to wirelessly charge it, which is very handy, you don't need any cables then, it will take 3 hours to fully charge it. But if you're going to use the cable connection on the rear, that is 2 hours to charge these. So the rubberized finish does show a little bit, you can see here, of smudges and fingerprints. It's a very minor little con there with this case. Overall, good size, good build quality. They don't rattle around inside either. So as soon as you open it up, it does enable those TWS earbuds. So the Firefly 2s turn on straight away, and when you close it, they then turn off. Now there's a status LED just to let us know the battery life as well of the case, which is very handy. So when it's green, it's telling us that we've got 75 to 100% battery. When it is yellow, it is 75 to 25%, and 25% and under will be red then, telling us to charge it. So they fit in place with magnets really well. And as mentioned, they don't rattle around. Now there is a little button right here too. This is in fact a reset button. So you need to hold this down if you're going to do a factory reset. It's all in the instruction manual telling us. So the design of these ones is a little bit bigger than some of the other TWS earbuds I've reviewed in the channel. They are slightly heavier, but not by much. This is 7 grams per earbud, and it doesn't bother me at all. Now these have not come out when I have been wearing them. So we do have this little stem that comes out a little bit. We've got one microphone here, and there's actually one right there, that little dot you can see, and you've got the Jabees on the back here. So this is made out of rubber. It is both a physical click in and capacitive touch, 2 in 1. So depending on what you're doing, you can control and adjust the volume by pressing right in, getting the physical click, holding it to go volume up, and depending on which ear you use as well, if you do the double tap, you've got the pass-through mode. So yes, these do support pass-through, so you can hear audio announcements, public announcements, for your train, whatever, wherever you are, which is handy to have this so it doesn't block out any of those noises. So as I mentioned, they come with the medium tips pre-installed. For me, that actually gave me a good seal. It's very important to get a good seal with whatever TWS or any earbuds that you're using, so you get the best bass, the good sound that they are promising. And it's clearly labeled left or right there. They're the 2 connectors for the pogo port pins for charging. There's no sharp edges or anything like that, and overall the build is good. Now there's no rubber on the back here, so sometimes when you put them in, at first I noticed that you may not feel that they have a super secure fit. But overall they haven't fallen out with me jumping around. But if they did have a rubber sleeve over this, I feel they would be just a tiny bit more secure and giving a little bit more confidence. So I have given these earbuds some time to bed in, and that means I've been using them since I've got them now 5 days, pretty much non-stop, high volumes, definitely broken in these speakers. So out of the box tune is leaning towards the lows. So they have slightly boosted up the lows there. A lot of manufacturers do that just so they sound like they've got some decent bass. Now, when you do crank up the volume and the lows as well, it can actually pump out some surprisingly good bass for just a 6mm driver. They're graphene ones as well, so the mids do sound good. And they don't distort either. So there's no distortion with pushing very loud lows, no problems. It doesn't seem to mess with the mids as well. So one area of criticism from me with these would be the highs. I think the highs don't sound quite as crisp as other brands I have listened to. Not to say that they are bad. I think for the price, these do sell for about, with the coupon, for about 70 US dollars. You are getting above average sound definitely with these. I feel they sound excellent. And then, of course, the battery life, it will go for over 9 hours. In my testing, they claim 10, and well, I'm getting about 9 hours and 20 minutes or so, but it's going to vary on the volumes and the genre that you're listening to. Now, there is an application for these that is on the App Store and the Google Play Store, but it's a very simple app that's just used to update our firmware. So I am on the latest firmware at the time of doing this video, and it just corrected a minor little problem that they had with the pass-through feature. It's working flawlessly now, by the way, no problem. So make sure if you do get these, run the firmware app to make sure you get the firmware update, you're on the latest one. But it's good to see that this brand is pushing out firmware updates, because most brands just don't even do this, completely forget about tweaking any problems that they can fix via firmware updates. What about the lag? So latency is very good between audio and video. I'm not seeing that horrible delay that you can sometimes get with some TWS audio. Not here, it seems to be spot on. So Amazon Prime Video or Netflix, I'm not seeing any delay whatsoever. So the video and the audio synced perfectly. The same goes for gaming too. Onto the comfort of wearing these. So I have worn these for hours on end, and I'm not getting any fatigue with them. So I'm not getting like built up pain or anything like that. No, they are perfectly fine for my ears. Now I have a good seal. This means I do have some very decent passive noise reduction from these. In fact, a little bit better. I'd say a fraction better than some of the other TWS earbuds that I have listened to in the past. Now having that pass-through feature is very handy to have. So when you're not in a call and you are not listening to music, you simply do a double tap, the physical click in tap that is, and then you can hear all your surrounding sounds. So you can hear that announcement for what platform your train is going to be on without having to look at a screen, because you can hear that, you can hear your co-workers. So that is a handy feature to have, just like the wireless charging that the case also has as well. Now, microphone quality. I'll give you a very short sample of the 4 mics that this has in total, so 2 in each ear. And I think we get some pretty decent call quality with these ones. They do have some noise cancellation as well. Wind noise, it will pick up a little bit of that, but it's doing its best to block out background noises. So I think that's actually pretty decent quality compared to some of the others I've listened to that you couldn't even make me out. I was that muffled. With some of the TWS tech I've reviewed, they just overlook microphones completely, and glad to see that they haven't with these ones. So the audio sync, so the latency between the video and the audio is pretty much spot on for Netflix, Amazon Prime Video, and gaming. In fact, everything, even YouTube seems fine. I'm not seeing a noticeable bad delay with the phone that I'm using. That is, it seems perfect there, which is great. That's good news. That's another area that normally brands kind of overlook, that sometimes the chipsets don't offer good latency. This one does. So another positive there too. So the touch controls, just to touch on that, no pun intended, is that they do work really well. So the physical click in one's 100% working all the time. The previous or next track, that's working as well for me tapping away. And that's another area where I'd often say that they're hit and miss. They aren't hit and miss with these ones. Another one too is, of course, the volume controls, which is a must, and this has the volume controls. So you tap, depending on which ear, tap and hold volume up with this ear, tap and hold volume down. Again, working, you get a little bit of a voice prompt there. So overall, how do they sound? I think they sound very, very good as well. So we've got deep bass, no distortion. The lows don't interfere with the mids as well there. The area of criticism from me, there are just 2 areas, but with sound quality, I think the highs just aren't quite as crisp as other brands I have listened to. That's just a very minor thing there, and that's me nitpicking really. The other is the case size is compact, it's small, it's good, but I would have loved to have seen a 3rd additional charge. So this gives us 2 charges, which is, okay, that's a lot of time, that's 20 hours, but having the 30 would have been perfect, I feel, with this. But obviously they gave up, I think, with the case size with the additional battery, because we've lost a bit of space because of the wireless charging it has, which is, of course, a handy feature to have. So the Firefly.2s from Jabees, they are offering just so much good microphone quality, the wireless charging, good sound quality, good playback. Really a very, very decent TWS earbuds review here from what I've heard and what I'm listening to with these. They're definitely up there as some of my favorites so far. I think for that price, it's a fair price they're charging with the coupon, for what you're getting. If you want to step above those budget ones that sell for maybe 50, 40 US dollars, these being a little bit more expensive, you just gain so much. So thank you so much for watching this TWS earbud review from me. I will be back with more intended TWS earbud reviews. Bye for now.